Welcome back to Torah in 10. I'm Jody Burkell, and I'm so excited to be here with you again. What's the life-changing idea Rabbi Sacks of blessed memory teaches us this week? We can emerge from the shadow of death if we allow ourselves to be healed by the God of life. To do so, however, we often need the help of others. I don't know about you, but there have been times when the words, "because I said so," came out of my mouth to one or more of my children. I don't think I'm alone on this. My parents said it to me because not everything in life needs an explanation. This was instilled in me as a child and has stayed with me till today. Don't get me wrong. Of course, I give reasons to my children for the various things I ask of them. But there are times in our lives when we do things without complete understanding, where trust and faith kicks in. For example, we take our kids to the doctor to get a vaccine. We don't fully understand how it works. We didn't go to medical school, but we trust the doctor and our kids trust us. And so they take the shot. Seems like we've become the little kids now, taking the vaccine without total clarity, but we took it anyway. To me, this is the essence of this week's Parsha. Let me explain why. The Parsha begins with, "This is the decree of the Torah, and they shall take unto you a para aduma, a red heifer, a red cow, and it is known to be the hardest mitzvah to understand." There are categories of mitzvot, and this one falls under a group called chukim, which is a law whose logic is unclear and perhaps even incomprehensible. During temple times, this mitzvah was performed as a purification process for someone who came in contact with a dead body. A dead body in Judaism is the primary source of impurity, and it meant that the person could not enter the temple until cleansed, and it was a process that lasted for 7 days. The main part of this purification process involved a priest sprinkling the affected person with a specifically prepared liquid known as the waters of purification. It consisted of the ashes of the red heifer, cedar wood, hyssop, scarlet wool, and fresh water. It was this that was sprinkled on someone who had become impure by contact with the dead. One of the most paradoxical features of this process is that though it cleansed the impure, those that carried out the ritual became impure themselves. Now, when we're learning Torah, we have to ask questions. Why does the text prefacing the commandment regarding the red heifer say, "This is the decree of the Torah," and not, "This is the decree of the para aduma," the red heifer? And here we have a deep, meaningful teaching. Even as the laws of the para aduma, which can simultaneously purify and contaminate, are beyond human comprehension, so too are all the laws of the Torah, even the laws called mishpatim, which are the laws that appeal to our human intelligence, which makes sense to us, like don't steal, don't murder. These have elements that are inexplicable. For many people, this is a real roadblock in their Judaism. I've had many conversations, and I'm thinking of one friend in particular. I know she's going to hear this, and I bet she knows that I'm talking about her right now. And people struggle in this area, and it's understandable. I get it. Why would I do something that I don't understand? But the truth is, we do this all the time. And can we really understand all that there is to understand? The great Hasidic master, the Kotzker Rebbe, said, "I would never serve a God I understood." It takes humility to know that we are finite beings and God is infinite. We can't possibly hope to fully understand the infinity of God. This teaching has been so ingrained in me So many times when people ask me why I keep kosher or why I keep Shabbat or why I dress in a certain way, I tell them, you might not like my answer, but I try to keep these mitzvahs because God said so. I can try to explain what I've learned over the years, and trust me, I've asked all the questions, learned as much as I possibly can to try to understand the why behind my life choices, to better appreciate the majesty, sanctity, and blessings of the Torah. And I encourage each and every one of you to do the same. But when it comes down to it, their true meaning is beyond our grasp. As my teacher and mentor, Adrian Gold, taught me, when you understand that you can't understand everything there is to understand, then you understand. I'll repeat it. When you understand that you can't understand everything there is to understand, then you understand. Ultimately, if our relationship with God and our observance of his commandments is to stand the test of time, they must be rooted in unwavering faith. Because most of life is confusing. Death, illness, sadness, the ups and downs of life are very much like the red heifer. They're beyond our understanding. But our faith keeps us going. If we were to attribute our own reasons for the observance of the commandments, because our reasonings are debatable, something that makes sense to us today may lose its attraction tomorrow. Rabbi Sacks teaches us that what is needed in life is something other than rational knowledge. He says faith is the life force of life. We can emerge from the shadow of death, from the questions we struggle with, like, why do bad things happen to good people? If we allow ourselves to bypass our rational brain and be healed by the God of life. Our commitment, our relationship with God requires us to dig in and to try to understand as much as we possibly can, to mine the depth, beauty, and meaning of the Torah. But why do we observe the mitzvahs? Because this is the decree of the Torah. In other words, because God said so. And that is a life-changing idea we can all use. Thank you so much.